How's it going, everybody? Nick Daniels here, and you know all the AKA stuff, so let's just get right into the video. So today's topic is actually going to be a little bit more of a vlog style, but I want to talk about an interview I had the other day, and kind of that experience in general. So it was at this company located in Dartmouth. Don't need to say the name of it, but basically they actually deal in like underwater technology, which is kind of cool. And coming as an information technology student, if you know what that is, basically my program is not about underwater technology. It's about computers, right? And you know, of course, I know how computers work. I know how to set up computers. I know how to defend computers. You know, like I know how to troubleshoot, yada yada yada. You know, a little scripting. But I mean, you know, I'm not I'm not some sort of engineer. Now I applied to this company because there's a NSCC has this job board, right? And it's really good, and I didn't realize how important it was, and it's updated quite frequently. And it's all these companies, and they can put their own jobs on there because they're looking specifically for NSCC graduates, right? Or NSCC work term, or you know what I mean? Or just like a 3-month employment period. So naturally, I put my resume in, and I wrote a little email to them, and that's kind of my cover letter, is the email, right? And I actually got a word back, I think it was basically the next morning. Like, it was that quick. I was very surprised. So anyway, I get a call, or the email there, sorry, and like they're like, all right, come on down. It's in Dartmouth. So I got about an hour and a half to go. So sure enough, well, my buddy actually was like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really want to go there alone because it's a much bigger area than I'm used to driving in. But my buddy was like, hey, I'm like off that day, I'll come in for the ride, right? And I was like, all right, cool, like, you know, maybe I'll buy you lunch, right? Make it worth your time. So we actually do go up together. And yeah, like I said, it's about an hour and a half, and I get there a little early to this industrial park. Okay. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't had a lot of interviews in my life. I've had very few. Most of the companies are, okay, sorry, the way I gotta word that's different. Most of the businesses or places or people I've worked for has always been like you kind of known somebody. So it was very easy just to kind of walk in the door, per se. When I worked at Sobeys, I don't even really remember having an interview. I'm pretty sure I literally just went and spoke to the manager, and it was one of those like meet and greet kind of things. So he just kind of met me, like, you know, got a name to a face, and the next, you know, I think I started like literally a week later. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's very, I find that way is very personal, right? You get to actually talk to the person, and it's informal, so I'm not nervous, right? I'm going in and I'm like, okay, like I'm just literally talking to them, and sure enough, I already had it. When I worked for the school board, it was the exact same idea. I went in, and I'll kind of, again, like I'm nervous. I didn't even take my jacket off. I was like, don't be fucking wearing a suit and that, because it's like literally I'm coming in to shake hands. So again, makes me very comfortable. This, however, this is an interview. So, like I said, I waited some time. I about 15 minutes early, and sure enough, I go to the wrong door. So that's great. When I go into this company, the receptionist there, she actually, it was funny, but she actually asked to confiscate my cell phone for while I was in there. But I told her I just didn't even have it anyway. So I can already tell, because like I looked up the company a little bit before, and they actually work in like defense. So that's really interesting. And again, that makes sense why they would probably have a little bit more of a strict policy there. So that's cool, like no big deal. And you know, it's a really good environment. I get in. This woman sits me down. She'll be like, he'll be a few minutes. Like the guy who's going to be doing the interviewing, he's kind of busy. It's cool. And there'll be another gentleman interviewing as well. So there'll be 2 people that are interviewing me. So panel style, kind of. Not like a big panel or anything, but panel style. You know, you get a couple people. One specifically knows what I'm doing, right down to like the IP addresses and everything. And the other guy doesn't know any of that stuff, but he's literally there to kind of see who I am. Now, like I said, we sit down, we start talking, and they start pulling out the fucking, you know, you already know where this is going, but they pull out the stumper questions, right away. So you know what these are. Stumper questions are generally designed for one thing, in my opinion, and to see your thought process, and to see how you think and where you're going to go with a question, right? Even if there is a right or wrong answer. Now, I'll be honest, I don't actually feel that confident in my answers. Some of them were good, but, you know, I could have gave a little bit more. But most of them were, like, just scenarios, right? Like, this is what you run into, yada, yada, yada. And I might give a really good answer, but then follow it up with something that might not be as good. And he mentioned that. There was one of them that I did, like, I went over the top, but then later on to try to figure out the problem, I thought too far ahead, right? He's like, just think simpler, right? And he's like, you know, don't worry, that happens, right? Same as there was one that I didn't know. I actually did not know the answer. And I don't have, like, pen and paper to figure that out. So I just kind of apologized. And again, he's like, you know, like, don't worry about that. Like, it's not, you know, he's like, I'm not expecting you to remember that stuff, right? So that's cool. Now, what was really funny, like, once we got through that, so that the pressure was kind of off at that point, the gentleman that was just on the panel with him, so helping out, in a sense. Now, he looks at my resume, right? He's got a copy of it, and he's kind of combing it over in front of me. And it's interesting because he asked me about a couple things on it, right? Like just what I did from this date to this date. And I told him, right, here's where I worked, here's what I did. But there was two things that I thought were kind of interesting. So he asked me about my volunteer experience, which is the first LEGO League, and they both seemed very interested in it, and thought it was a great thing, which is awesome. And, you know, it is. It's a good time. But the other one was really peculiar because one of my instructors at NSCC, and I don't mind saying this, but one of my instructors at NSCC actually told me that this was worthless, basically, right? This was not worth the time to have it on there. It's not relevant. But I put my YouTube skills on there, so I'm experienced with making videos. I'm experienced with, you know, Sony Vegas and Windows Movie Maker, like common programs to make high-quality content. Okay, there's someone coming that way. I thought I was safe to walk down the trail, but there is someone coming. But anyway, so yeah, no, my teacher told me that, and I argued it. I was like, no. Well, you know what? They thought it was great. These people in the interview, and I explained to them, I'm like, dude, like, I can make you, and actually it was really well timed, by the way, I should say this, because the gentleman, the IT guy, he's the only one, so he's very busy. And he's very busy helping with little things that the end users could do themselves, right? So the people who work there day to day. And when I spoke of this, I said, well, you know, okay, like my video skills. And I said, you know, I think something that why is there on my resume, and I explained why. I was like, because I make videos, and I'm like, it would be very easy for me to say make like a video tutorial, I said, for an end user. So if somebody was having trouble at their end, instead of contacting the IT guy, they could watch a very simple video, right, clear and to the point, and understand it, and then they could fix their own problem, right? And he, like, I'm not even joking you, he like lit right up when I told him that, because he just realized I could save him a ton of time, like that he could get all his other stuff done, right, with that little skill. And you know, it's something, again, like, I really want to make an NSCC video at some point here, and I might actually today while I'm still walking around. And that's something I want to talk about, is them telling you the wrong thing, and then, you know what, prove them wrong. It's pretty nice, actually. But all in all, the interview went really well. It took like an hour. I was quite surprised, and I didn't even use my portfolio. I had it like sitting there, but I'm not used to using that. So but anyway, we kind of laughed about it anyway at the end. But unfortunately, they're only offering like 3 months, so for me to do a move up there for a 3-month position isn't really worth it for me, which I don't like. I'm ashamed of saying almost, but that's just kind of how it is. And then after that, they can't guarantee full-time or not, like to stay on with the company. They would like to, but they don't know if they'll be able to, or if they can afford it, which is fair. It's a good point. But overall, like I said, it was a good interview, and I'm really happy I took it, because it's giving me more experience. There's like a big job fair in a month, or not a month, sorry, 2 weeks actually. 2 weeks up in Halifax at the IT campus, so it's all my program, basically. And there's a lot of companies there, and there's a lot of opportunity for work. So any interviews I do now, which I have another one here this week, really help out. Yeah, they really do. They really help out, and they really get my confidence boosted. But anyway, I guess that's going to be it there, folks, just talking about that interview. I'm going to make another video while I'm still doing some laps here. So again, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it, actually. We're up to 120 subscribers now. That's it's actually quite awesome. Like, I literally say it like all the time in my videos, like, I'm proud, man. I'm happy. Like, I feel like I've really earned that, and it's only going up. So there you go. Never know. Might get 200 one day. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.